Thank you for those welcoming words. I'm very glad and honored to be here, and I am very grateful to have had this invitation here for having to make a speech here this evening, and I hope what I say will be of interest to you all.
今日はここのお席にお招きに預かりましてありがとうございます。こういう機会を持ってて非常に嬉しく思っています。
I have been fortunate to have a lot of contacts with people from Japan, and to the institute where I work, we have had quite many groups from Japan, and I always believe that it can be very fruitful to have a dialogue with people from Japan. You have a very strong industry, you have a lot of interesting research and development, and we in some aspects where we are going to talk to this evening, we have a common interest like the demographic change, for instance.
私どもの研究所は日本の対応する研究所との連絡も非常に多くありまして、日本の進んだ技術からも学ぶことができますし、また今日はここでお話ができると非常に情報交換に役立つと思います。
The institute I work for is a national institute. It's run by the Swedish Minister of Health and also by the Swedish Organization for Municipalities and County Councils. We are around 85 people with different backgrounds and work closely together with the municipalities and county councils, but also with the user organizations.
私どもの研究所は約83名のいろんなバックグラウンドを持った職員からなっておりまして、県や市のからの地方行政からのサポートを受けております。
We work in two political domains. One is the elderly domain, and the other one is the disability area.
主に2つの分野を扱っておりまして、一つは高齢者の問題、もう一つは障害を持つ人たちに対するサポートという2つの分野を扱っております。
There are great similarities, but there are also differences when you have to address these two areas. And there is also an increased interest from society in my country to address the demographic change.
この2つの分野というのは違っている点もあるし共通している点もありますけれども、最近我が国の年齢の構成変化にもよりまして、高齢者に関する関心が非常に高まっております。
We work also with the accessibility issues and the assistive technology. You can say that these two concepts are two sides of the coin.
私どもはこういう福祉機器の入手方法、入手のしやすさについても改善すべく研究をしております。
Formerly, we had the name, if you directly translate it from Swedish to English, Handicap Institute, but nowadays we don't use the term handicap. We have people with disabilities according to UN Convention and others. But this Swedish Institute of Assistive Technology, we believe, is a quite good abbreviation for what we are doing.
私どもの組織は以前もともとはハンディキャップ研究所と申しましたが、ハンディキャップという言葉は最近は適当でないということになりまして、障害者という言葉に変わっておりますが、私どもの研究所の名前としてはこのアシスティブテクノロジーという言葉が非常に適していると思います。
In first slide here, I presented what I'm going to talk about today. The first one is the demographic situation. then assistive devices, support at home, assistive technology, mainstream products and services, free choice, cognition or cognitive disability, and psychiatric disability.
今日お話ししようと思ってますのは次のような項目です。人口統計的な状態、統計の様子、それからまた福祉機器サービスそのものの種類とか、それから在宅サポート、それから福祉機器の技術について、それから主な製品やらサービス、それから利用者が選択する選択のしの話、それからさらに認知障害の問題、そして最後に精神障害のお話をいたします。
I have chosen some topics. Some might be disappointed that I don't cover certain aspects of this rather big area. I've chosen some aspects that I believe are interesting if you want to know what's happening in Sweden.
私は今日は主にスウェーデンでの状態を現状をお話ししようと思っています。
You recognize this also when you look at the Japanese population. You can see from this slide here that we had 18% of people 65 years and older in 2008, and in 2060 there will be around 1/4 of the Swedish population 65 years and older. At the same time, there will be fewer in the workforce, so to say. So compared to the 60s, there will be fewer who work, and they have to, so to say, build an economy where a larger number of people are retired. So, but at the same time, it is important to underline that older persons are a resource. That is perhaps unnecessary to say, but sometimes in the discussion it seems that this demographic change is only a negative thing, and it will be very costly. Rightly used, elderly can be of enormous resource to society.
人口統計的に言いますと、ここにありますように2008年では 18% の人が65歳以上の高齢者だったのが、2060年には 25%、4分の1になると予想されています。そして働き手である若い年代が減っていくと。したがってしかし高齢者というのはまたリソースでもあります。
When it comes to the global situation, I have had contacts with the World Health Organization, and normally the population aging is closely linked to economic development, and at the moment it's currently less developed countries which are experiencing the most dramatic demographic change, and low and middle income countries. By 2050, 80% of older people will live in what are now low or middle income countries. And nations like China and Brazil will have a greater proportion of older people than the US. Even more importantly, population aging in these countries, low and middle income countries, is occurring much faster. That means that they will have a shorter time period to adapt to this demographic change.
世界的な傾向を見てみますと、WHO の情報によりますと、現在非常に劇的なこの人口の変化といいますのは経済発展と非常に密接に関係しておりまして、現在劇的な変化に面していますのは低 高子開発国であります。2050年には、高齢者の8割は低中開発国が占めることになりまして、中国やブラジルはアメリカよりも高齢者の割合が大きくなると予想されています。で、重要なことはこの今の低開発国に起こってます高齢化現象というのは非常に速いスピードで進んでいます。このことはすなわち高齢化に対応する準備期間が非常に短いということであります。
And also WHO is increasing their interest in the assistive technology because they feel that now when the World Health Organization with its medical programs are successful in increasing the age among people also in low and middle income countries. People live longer, but they also have to have a quality of life, and assistive technology is very important to increase the quality of life. So at the moment WHO is considering strategies for transfer of technology from the developed world, so to say, to low and middle income countries.
こういう高齢化が低開発国に現在起こっているわけですけれども、高齢者の QOL を改善するためにも先進国が持ってます技術をこういう発展途上国にトランスファーすることが重要であります。
And the situation often is that elderly are the big users of assistive technology in developed world. In Sweden, for instance, 3 or 4 users of assistive technology are people 65 years and older. And when you come to low and middle income countries, it's often the case that if there is a provision scheme for assistive technology, it is addressing people in the workforce. And often they are built on non-government organizations, civil society playing an important role. But it's not that frequent that they provide assistive technology to older persons. I went to Korea 3 years ago, and I know that Korea is still a rich country. They only address people in the workforce when it comes to assistive technology.
いくつかの国ではすでに福祉機器が普及し始めておるわけですけれども、その活動には主として民間団体が活動しております。先日韓国へ行きましたが、韓国ではむしろ若い年代の人の方にこういう福祉機器が支給されておりました。
In Sweden we are 9.5 million people, and 20% of the population has a disability, and there is 18%, as I said, 65 years and older, and there is at the moment there is an increase in life expectancy as a result of a successful health and housing policy, I would say, and 70% of assistive devices are used by people 65 years and older, and mostly devices are for free in Sweden for the user.
スウェーデンでは950万人の人口がおりますが、約 20% が何らかの障害を持っております。65以上の人は 18% に達しております。福祉機器のうち 70% は65歳以上の高齢者によって使われております。そしてまたこれらの福祉機器は通常無償であります。
The provision systems are handled or managed by the county councils. There are 21 councils in Sweden, and they decide on their own. So it means also that there could be a different situation in different county councils. That is often something the user organizations raise when they talk about these issues. But Sweden is a decentralized country. Most of the political decision power is on local municipality and county council level, and they are also to decide rules, for instance, when it comes to assistive technology. So the government doesn't intervene in what kind of assistive products, devices or provision schemes to rule in different county councils.
スウェーデンでは地方分権制度になっておりますので、こういう福祉機器の管理支給方法などは地方の県や市の地方自治体の方針でそれぞれやっておりますので、地域によってやり方が違っております。中央はこれには口出しはしません。
And the use of assistive devices is something that goes from the very young and to older persons. And this is an image we often, a photo we often use in this kind of context, because the rollator, the walking table, so to say, is quite popular, and around 2,000 people use them in Sweden. That's almost one of the most popular or most used devices we have.
写真にありますように、福祉機器というのは若い人たちから高齢者まで使われておりまして、この写真はよく引き合いに出されるんですが、こういう手押し車というのは非常に一般的に普及しております。
This is of course also health, from a health perspective. It's very useful to stimulate that one come out from the apartment and or the house or the villa or wherever you live, to be active, to be able to do as much on your own as possible. And I believe a lot of older persons nowadays make use of the rollator to also do their daily activities, and if they get tired, they can often sit on the rollator for some minutes and then continue whatever. So that's a very useful device if you want to stimulate an active and healthy aging.
この機器は非常に健康上もいい刺激がありまして、うちにばっかりいないで外へ出て歩くことができるという意味で健康増進を刺激する便利な道具であります。
Here is a list about the assistive technology. You would say that I would say that it's more frequent that products. When we talk about assistive technology in Sweden, I would say we talk about products, but services is something coming, but it's not that frequent today. And what do we then mean by services? Yeah, for instance, the mobile has become more and more useful assistive technology, but at the same time, the mobile is seen as a consumer product. But applications or softwares useful for an individual user could be prescribed, and that means, of course, that you have a subscription. Instead of you subscribe a product, you subscribe a service that is monthly paid, and also related to the information society in general, the internet and services provided via internet, whether it is medication reminder via SMS, etc., that is also coming. So this is a cultural change, I would say, as a result of technological change in society as a whole.
私どもは福祉機器って呼びますときには主にいわゆる製品ハードウェアでありますが、ほとんどがものでありますけれども、サービス情報も最近割合が増えてきました。例えばソフトウェアをダウンロードしていろんな 薬の用法などを普及知らせるというそういうサービスも増えてきております。
The local and regional responsibility I mentioned, so the responsible for healthcare normally is the county council, but some extent for older persons also the municipality can be the health provider. In that case also, for instance, if you stay at the institutional care as an elderly, often the municipality is responsible for the provision of assisted products.
先ほど申しましたように、地方行政の県や市が責任を持っておるわけです。例えば施設入居高齢者入居施設なども地方で管理されております。
I give in here a short list of frequent devices. Mobility device, of course, that's obvious, and rollator and wheelchair, and hearing and low vision devices also quite frequent. Products for incontinence, that is something when you get old. There's also an increased number of people using incontinence devices, and products for personal hygiene and dressing.
一般的なデバイスといいますのはここにありますように、多いのは移動を助ける移動に関する補助具、それから聴覚視覚を助けるもの、それから失禁に関する製品、それからまた人の衛生とか衣類衣服に関する製品などがあります。
The last 5 years, I believe, we have increased our screening of development in a broad text to see what's happening in the outside world, and the demographic change, of course, I already mentioned. User empowerment is a trend also, I believe, in most countries, but the consumer of public services want to have a higher influence over what they are given, and they also want to decide on different kind of modes, etc., how they could satisfy their own needs. And this is also a very natural part of the disability community, that they would like to have a more to say in what kind of devices or assistive products that are handed out. This is also a political driven activity. I will come back to that in Sweden.
いくつかの外的な要因もありまして、統計的な変化、先ほどお話しましたが、ユーザーの独立を自立性を助けるような製品が非常に一般の消費者コンシューマーグッズでも出てきております。
Home care is a result of in Sweden you don't stay at the institution for a very long time. You are treated for surgery, etc., and then you are rather quickly sent home. That means that the house or the villa or apartment where you live, so to say, that becomes also a place where you are given care and health care, and that means also that your home becomes a workplace for some others sometimes, and home care is a very important strategy when it comes to address active and healthy age and a high quality of life for the growing number of older persons.
高齢者の健全な生活を維持するためには最近在宅ケアという考え方が非常に普及してきました。施設に入る時間はなるべく短くして、例えば手術などをするときはもうできるだけ早く自宅へ帰って自宅での生活を主にするような考え方になっております。
The UN Convention on rights for people with disability has been signed by over 150 countries and ratified by more than 100. Sweden has both signed and ratified. I believe Japan has signed but still not ratified. And in that declaration, there are at least 8 articles related to technology. So assistive products and services is an ingredient for countries who have signed and ratified this convention.
国連の障害者権利条約に基づきましていくつかの国が基づいて活動をしておりまして、日本もそれに参加しております。そこで福祉機器技術というのも重要な要素であります。
Technological development is really an issue also for this area, and I saw from the list here of participants that there are enormous competence in this area in this room. And for instance, when we talk about health robotics, that is an area I'm not going to speak about today, but that is of course something that we have seen a lot from your country, and I believe that is one part in the changed playground for assistive products and services. So the concept of what we mean when we talk about assistive technology will change over the years.
テクノロジカルデベロップメントはもちろん、キーでありますけれども、今日の皆さんの中には専門家がたくさんおられるようですが、日本ではいろいろ進んでおりまして、ロボティクスもその一つだと思います。
The last item here is mainstream products and services offer new opportunities. One obvious one is the mobile, for instance, and what has meant to people. And this also, of course, influences what we need of kind of assistive technology and how it can interact with consumer technology.
モバイルフォン、携帯電話なんかも消費者製品から始まっておりますけれども、福祉機器としての機能も入ってきておりまして、役に立つ機能を備えております。
So, why do people who are older need assistive technology? The end user or the older person herself would like to have as much as possible autonomy and independence. That is anyway the result when we make enquetes or ask older persons. And active and healthy aging is also, we believe, an interest for the end user, but also a societal interest. If people are healthy, they are also more active and can in that context have a better life and a higher quality. And assistive technology could also be seen as an investment to reduce demand for societal care and health care, and this is more or less a societal perspective.
高齢者にとって、福祉機器が非常に重要な理由としましては、まず、高齢者本人にとっては自立した生活ができるということであります。そしてまた、それによって、健康な生活を営むで、積極的な活動的な生活を営むことができまして、このことは本人とそれからまた社会にとっても利益であります。でさらには高齢者が健康で活動的になることによって社会的なそういうケアに関する費用を節約することもできます。社会にとっても有利であります。
The sad fact is that today there is no supply or prepared easily comparable technical coherent solution which make an ordinary living to a comparable alternative with healthcare institutions or institutional living for older persons and people with disability. This is of course a challenge that to build on the present ordinary living conditions, avoiding institutional care. And in the country I come from, more and more people live in ordinary homes, and we also actively abolished some institutions because we believe that the quality of life is lower there than at home. But that means, of course, you have to do other things to support people at home, so the home won't become a prison where you are, so to say, obliged to stay and you can't get out and be part of civil society.
残念なことには、高齢者や障害者にとって、施設と同じようなレベルの日常生活ができる代替のソリューションは今ありません。しかし、考え方としましては、施設よりも在宅で健康な生活を営めるようにするのが戦略でありまして、実際スウェーデンでは施設がもう潰された例もあります。
The next slide very much also relate to this, that it's not an expansion of special institutional apartments that are needed. The most important thing is to develop and adapt the present housing supply to older persons' need, and the challenge is to make the potential demographic change perspective into commercial and employment opportunity. We know that in Sweden around half of the residents for older persons lack a good accessibility, meaning that we have to do more to make those buildings more accessible, and there are different activities going on to face that. And the other thing is, in the second paragraph here, that the demographic change also means that there will be an increased need of new products and services to make sure that older persons at home can have a high quality of life, and that is where industry comes in. The industry has to realize the need, for instance, for design for all products.
現在、施設を高齢者向けの施設を増やすということが、緊急課題ではありませんで、むしろ、既存の住宅を高齢者の使いやすいようなに合わせていくという考え方になっております。実際今スウェーデンでは約住宅の半分が高齢者にとって不便、使い勝手の悪い構造になっております。で、チャレンジは、この年齢層の変化を経済雇用の機会に転ずるようなことが重要チャレンジであります。従いましてこういう、在宅の活動を助けるような技術開発が望まれております。
So Sweden can't afford, that has been stated in several government and parliament decisions, that to build special housing institutions to meet the demographic change, and so support needs to be delivered in the ordinary homes, and assistive technology is one of several measures. Accessibility, housing adaptation, support from caregivers and relative friends are other measures.
福祉機器によりまして、在宅で、クオリティオブライフを QOL を改善するようにする方向であります。そしてまたこれはその他の方法としましては、家族による、サポートやら、それから、アクセスのしやすさ、それから友人との近くにいて、ケアがなされるということが に並ぶ一つの方法が福祉機器だというふうに考えています。
Up there, this slide is a way to illustrate housing adaptations, and that is a responsibility for the municipality. Here we have another support given from the municipality. It's decided by the municipality as an so to say a more organized decision on individual level, and around 200,000 in Sweden have these social alarms at home, and when you press that button you get a contact with the municipality reception desk, and they will try to contact you. If they can't get the contact, they will come home to you. So this is a very substantial part in the way to support elderly, to give comfort, security and safety at home. The third illustration in assistive technology, that is of course also main ingredients when it comes to supporting independence. And the fourth one is individual actions financed by the user herself. And there is of course a development over the years on what kind of content and the development in different fields. But we see also in my country that the individual has to take a certain responsibility for instance, being aware of that you have to look for a reasonable housing when you become older and you lose successively abilities. If you live in a house where no elevators and on the third floor and you get difficulties, you might at an early stage ask yourself what could I do to find a proper housing. And in Sweden there are a lot of municipality-owned real estate companies, almost in all municipalities. And at the moment there is an ongoing dialogue between municipalities and these real estate companies owned by the municipalities to stimulate persons to really look for accessible or appropriate housing so that you can live still, even if you are older, an active life. And that is something that is often debated, of course, at home, because everyone doesn't want to reflect on what will happen when I lose some abilities today or tomorrow or next year. People tend to forget that kind of questions.
スウェーデンでの状況ですが、左上にありますような家屋の改造、これも地方自治体のサポートによってなされるものですが、からその下のにありますのはいわゆる緊急呼び出し装置でありまして、緊急時にはこれのボタンを押すと、電話でがかかってくる、またはそれで連絡が取れないときは人が来てくれるというような、そういう、安全に対する緊急システムであります。それから右上の方はその他のいくつかのやはり自治体からのサポートによる機器があります。そして4つ目には考え方として障害者自身も責任を持って、例えば住宅も自分に適した住宅を探して入居するとか、それから例えば3階で3階の部屋に行くのが不便だったらそれをどうするかということを本人も考えてもらうと、そういう障害者自身の工夫も求められております。
There is also from time to time discussion whether those who are born so are now becoming retired persons in the Swedish society, whether they can afford to finance most of the things, or if they can't afford it. And sometimes people, some say in the debate that well, most retiring now have a good pension, that kind of thing. So, but I believe there is also an awareness that there are people who not worked so long, they have limited pension schemes, etc., and they have to find support from society. And this is also the interest of the municipalities to find solutions where, to some extent, people who can have a thicker wallet, they can buy a new apartment, etc. But there also has to be rental apartments with good standard for people having not so much income or much pension scheme. So this is really to the heart of the Swedish policy, to find a good balance between not allowing some to do what they want to do with their own money, but also securing that those who can't afford also get a good life when they become old.
退職した人たちが、年金が十分にある人は立派なところに住めるわけですけども、そうでもない人に対してはやはり、公共の自治体がサポートしてやらなければいけない部分もありますし、そういう議論もあるんですが、やはり、そういう、本人の希望あるいはその資産ですね、年金の量やらと見合ったバランスをとってなお健康にいい住居を作っていくということがポリシーになっております。
I would like to say some words on this support by relatives and friends supported by municipality, meaning that there are figures, not so very good statistics on this, but around 3 or 4 older persons get support, much or less, from relatives, often a husband or a wife or relatives or other friends. And they are also supported in their case by the municipality. This is an important ingredient if you want to avoid institutionalization, that you can have support, informal support from people around you. That is an important ingredient in the policy when it comes to supporting older persons at home.
スウェーデンでは 75% の人が家族その他身近な親戚からのサポートを受けております。
The institutional care is around 4% of people 65 years and older live at what we call special housing, and that 2/3 of them have grave dementia and 1/3 have multi-diseases.
施設にいわゆる特別な施設に入っておりますのは約 4% であります。いくつかの複数の障害を持った人もおります。
The next slide, I've chosen some technology devices. This is an alarm where you can alert the surrounding also when you are outdoors. And this is not a scheme provided in huge numbers, but that you can have this kind of device if you have, for instance, an autistic child, or and there is a risk for that they run away, but you still want them to have a good life as possible, as mobile as possible. This illustration is you're replacing now in the home care sector in some municipalities the ordinary key with a lock that's maneuverable via a mobile. So it means that the home care personnel can enter with a mobile, and that makes it more efficient, but it also makes it possible to have to really have a more efficient home care service. This is used in the dementia care, where a relative and the dementia person can communicate with others in the similar situation or with the municipality to alleviate the person supporting the dement person at home. This is an activity, night watch it's called. At the moment causing some discussions in my country where it's trying. You know, some people are entitled to have a night watch, meaning that, or night support, meaning that personnel comes home in the night and look for you. Either they do some help or otherwise they just look after you. Some people, older persons, believe that they awake when the personnel goes. So it means that you suddenly, in the middle of the night, question yourself, what happened? And then people go up from the bed, and it happens then that you fall due to that they are surprised in the middle of the night. This technology includes a camera. So from the home care center, you can go in at a certain time to look at the camera to see that everything is okay. This is now evaluated in some municipalities.
左上の機器は外出したときに緊急呼び出しなどに使う機材でありまして、それから真ん中の上のところはドアのロックをモバイルで開けられるようにして、介護する人が簡単に入れるように、入りやすいようになっています。それからまたその下は障害がある人とのコミュニケーションができるようなシステムであります。で、右は夜間障害者が寝てる間にディスターブしないように監視といいますか、様子を見るためのシステムであります。ナイトウォッチと言います。
Here we have a display and it's often installed beside the door. When you leave your house, you can see if there is a light there. You can see that you have, for instance, forgotten to close the door or to the balcony or the window, or the oven is still on, etc. And this is a way to have a cognitive support when you leave the home. This is a tricky thing in my country. It has been difficult from time to time to clarify in what scheme this really fits. So it isn't widely used. But those who have experiences from it believe that it is quite a useful support for not forgetting things when you leave the home. Here we have another device facilitating communication between an older person via TV to SMS or MMS. MMS is images then, so you can communicate, for instance, with the municipality, but also with relatives and friends without being having a mobile. So you can receive and then you can reply with your voice. That has been tested in some municipalities. Not so much so far, but that is something we believe could be beneficial for both the municipality and the person herself.
左下にありますのは外出する時のリマインダーであります。窓やドアをちゃんとロックしたかなどをチェックするための道具であります。 それから2の下はやはり外部との連絡を取るためのシステムでありまして、パソコンを起動しなくても、あるいは端末を起動しなくても音声でもってつながるようなシステムであります。現在これはもう販売されております。
I learned when I met the Design Foundation, Accessible Design Foundation here in Japan, that you have the word koyo-yohin used as a concept for describing accessible products. This is also an illustration of that that there is a merger and there is an overlap between assistive technology and consumer products, and quite a lot of consumer products also useful for persons with reduced abilities.
ここにありますのは、いわゆる福祉機器の分野の製品と一般の消費者用の機器とが非常に似通った内容のものになってきまして、一般の消費者用の機材でも障害者にとって非常に便利なものも出てきました。
Next slide is not that easy to explain. I included it in my presentation more to illustrate that we are involved in assistive technology. We become more and more part of an integrated solution where we have this so-called connected home, where we have this internet and the products can talk to each other, as they say. So it means that we can have both standalone products, but we could also have products and services that are connected to each other, and so have a platform where technology provides different kind of support, and dependent on what kind of needs you have, you can have a different kind of support at home.
福祉機器について考えていますと、いわゆるスタンドアローンの機材ばかりではなく、外部とのつながりができるような、要するに孤立しないようなことを助けるためのシステム機器も必要だということが分かってまいりましたので、両方スタンドアローン型と、それからどこかにつながる接続できるネットワークに入れるような機器と両方が必要であります。
I will turn to a totally different subject, as I mentioned, free choice, and that is what kind of history depends you have in different countries. In the service provision scheme, as I mentioned, we have in Sweden, we have built that on the profession from the occupational therapists. They are responsible for prescribing assistive technology to persons with reduced ability. And that has been a long tradition due to the empowerment demands, but also a general development in society that people who are concerned or benefit from societal services, they want to have a higher influence of the delivery of the support from the municipality or the county council.
いわゆる福祉機器は専門家、プロのテラピストによって処方されているわけですけれども、ユーザーとしましては、自分たちが必要なものも選べるようにしたいと、どういう機器が支給されるかについても意見を言うようになってきました。
This has been a field test in some areas in Sweden, and then people who are entitled to assistive technology has had the chance to choose whether they want to participate in these field trials or not. In that meaning, they have also had the chance to choose something that the county council normally prescribes or something totally different. This is something that will go on and continue in more places in Sweden. And I think the present situation indicates that this will be some sense part of the national system in the future. For instance, when it comes, this has been very much related to the traditional assistive technology, but also cognitive. And now we are also testing, for instance, for people with hard of hearing, using alternative technology for telephoning. For instance, they also have tried Skype for, in some senses. So also there, in the free choice, we have seen a movement to some consumer products or services used as an alternative to traditional assistive technology product.
いくつかの地域では障害者は自ら福祉機器を選ぶようなことができるようにもなっております。それを選ぶかどうかは自由ですが、こういうふうにして与えられた処方された機器ばかりじゃなくてユーザーが自分で選べるような試みも今トライアルとしていくつかの地方でやっております。ちょうど電話が昔からの電話に比べてスカイプのような代替手段ができてきたようにですね、いくつかのチョイスができるようになりつつあります。
I continue with another area of cognitive disability. This is an invisible disability, and it's not obvious all the time what kind of needs you have or what kind of problems you have. For some abilities, it's quite obvious to everyone what kind of challenges you meet in daily life. Due to that, the cognitive disability is not visible. It has also been neglected in society. You can have a cognitive disability for different reasons. You can be part of a car accident, you can have a stroke, you can have a dementia, you can have psychiatric disease, and as a result of that you get cognitive problems. And this is one of the arguments why the motives why we have increased our interest for this area, because it has been partly neglected and is lacking behind other areas.
次に認知障害のお話に移りますが、この認知障害は非常に分かりにくくて、今までもあまり重要視注目されてきませんでしたが、いくつかの原因によって脳卒中だったりいくつかの原因によって、認知障害ということがやっと起こる認知障害が、注目されるようになってきました。
And also in the information society there is an increased demand on the individual when it comes to the cognitive ability. At the same time as the cognitive ability is continuously reduced from the age of 20 when perhaps the cognitive ability is on its peak, and then there is a slope and you can do a lot of things to try to maintain the cognitive ability. In the information society we have a slope in the other way around that continuously is increasing, and it means of course that it's very costly if a lot of people comes under the barrier or so to say the line where you can't manage public services. For instance, in my country something like 1 million people don't use the internet, and another 500,000 or 400,000 doesn't use the internet so much. And it means that you lose a lot of possibilities. For society, it's crucial that include everyone in the information society, so everyone can benefit from what the information society can offer. And this is this includes a cognitive element.
認知能力というのは年とともに衰えていくわけですけれども、ある限界を超えるような認知の障害を持ちますと、非常に社会にとってもマイナスになるわけです。例えばスウェーデンでは約100万人の人がインターネットを使ってませんし、それからその約半分の人はめったに使わないと。そういうことはその本人にとっても社会にとっても情報が行き渡らないわけですから、非常に損失であります。だからそういう認知の劣化を防ぐようにすることが社会にとっても利益であります。
At the Institute we found that when we transferred from analog to digital TV, some older persons stopped looking at TV because they couldn't handle the box. And when the transfer from VHS to DVD, some people stopped to look at films because they couldn't handle the menu system.
例えばテレビがアナログからデジタルに変わった時に、かなりの人がその扱い方が難しくなって扱えないんでテレビを見なくなってしまった。それから、テープから DVD に変わった時も同じように、やはり扱えないために見なくなってしまったということがあります。
That's a good reason, of course, for industry to really make services and products easier to use. So cognitive area has been given priority, and in this area it's very important to have needs assessment, and also be aware of that introduction of assistive technology takes more time to train and also to follow up. So prescription of cognitive assistive products is more time consuming. And often, but not always, cognitive assistive technology is IT related.
認知障害に関する機器、福祉機器は非常にお金もかかるし、開発に時間もかかりますし、フォローアップにも時間がかかる。そしてまたほとんどの場合は IT に情報テクノロジー、インフォメーションテクノロジーに関連したものであります。
Some examples then of what kind of problems you face when you have a cognitive disability: memory, difficulties in planning daily activities, difficulties to understand time and space, navigation, that kind of thing, and communication and receiving information, and also to orientate in new environments.
認知障害を助けるサポートする機器といたしましては、忘れることに対するサポート、それから、日常生活の段取りを助ける、それからまた時間と場所の理解を助ける、それから、コミュニケーションをしたり、情報を得たりすることをサポートする、して、新しい環境に順応させるようにするように補助する、そういう機能を持っております。
The last subject I will talk about is related to people with psychiatric disability, and in 2009 the Swedish Institute of Assistive Technology received a governmental assignment for 3 years regarding assistive technology for persons with psychiatric disability. And the reasoning behind the decision from the government was that assistive technology can be one part of the rehabilitation process for this group.
私どもの研究所は2009年に精神障害に関する福 福祉機器の開発の諮問を受けております。これは福祉機器がこういう精神障害を持った人のリハビリに役に立つと考えたからであります。
In 1995, the Swedish Parliament decided to abolish the big psychiatric hospitals. So, the responsibility for taking care of persons with psychiatric problems after mental illness was transferred to the municipalities. And this, of course, is an important but also difficult task for the municipalities. Some reforms were included at that time, but when followed up of the psychiatric reform from the 95, a government committee launched a lot of proposals. And one of the proposals included this assignment in assistive technology.
99年に、国としては神経障害者に関する施設をなくしまして、その責任を地方が負うようになりました。
The vision is that access to assistive devices should be as good for persons with psychiatric disability as for persons with other disabilities. And the objective is that persons with psychiatric disability will participate more in society, may be able to take part in the supply of assistive devices. The background is that this group is even more lacking than the general group of cognitive disabilities. One university in Sweden identified that around 10% of people with psychiatric disability get the assistive products they need. 90% didn't, and this is a result of that this group has not been visible enough, and it's also a group that don't advocate their own needs in a way that many other disability groups can do. This is an important area of several reasons, not least equalness between different groups in society to lift the needs and make them visible and also do something about it.
ビジョンといたしましては、精神障害者に対しても他の障害者と同じように福祉機器を利用しやすくできるようにすることが目標であります。ある大学の調査によりますと、精神障害者が適切な福祉機器を与えられているのはわずか 10% しかないと言われております。この人たちは社会に復帰して福祉機器の供給などに参加してもらうということが目標であります。
In a smaller scale, the Institute was involved in the psychiatric disability field for around 10 years ago, and at that time, and I believe still there are some lack of knowledge on what could assistive technology do for this group. I listed here start and or finish activities, take initiatives, plan and organize, structure daily life, understand concept of time, anxiety, and facilitate sleeping, handle the rhythm of day and night. These are things that could be handled by assistive technology.
精神障害者に対する福祉機器とはどういうものかということでありますが、精神障害のある人に助けとなりますのは、行動の作業や行動の開始と終了、それから物事を計画したり準備したりすること、それから段取りをつけること、時間の観念を理解させること、それから不安を省いてやること、それから睡眠を誘導したり昼と夜のリズムを理解させたりすることであります。こういうことに福祉機器が役立つと思われます。
I have some images here those two illustrates products that could facilitate time comprehension. For instance, I know that some people can do some dishing and just continue for half an hour, and they can stand in the shower for a very long time. They don't often have the time perception. But with the fact is, the positive, fascinating thing is that human can develop strategies. If you can find strategies to compensate for difficulties, and often the experience is that if you have had this kind of time devices for some time, you also develop a way to handle time. That is illuminated from there to there. So when it comes red, it's time to go to the bus, or time to finish the bath, or finish the dishing, etc. And then you have these kind of devices, very simple but efficient way to illustrate what kind of activities do I have to do today. If you can't manage time today, you have a lot of problems. You lose meetings, you come too late to school, you come too late to activities, and everything is built on time. This is also a way illustration for a digital version to illustrate, to structure the daily life. This is a personal device, smartphone, where some younger persons in the projects and field activities have shown that that is quite efficient. It's also the positive thing with the consumer product is that it is not stigmatizing. It's not shown to everyone that I have a problem. So it's very useful to have products everyone uses, but you can have included software that helps specifically you. Here we have a medication device. This is what I mentioned before. This device has been quite a success. It is a symbol here. So when you lock the door, you get an image, you have a visually a lock that is closed. So when you come to the bus station and question yourself, did I really lock the door? And some people have been turning back for 5 or 10 times before they can enter the bus. And by doing this, having this gadget, some have suddenly managed to do a lot of things on their own. The mother and the relatives don't need to phone anymore.
左上のは時間の観念を得るための機器でありまして、例えばシャワーを始めてからいつ終わるべきかということがわからないときには、左のランプが下から順に点灯していって終わる時間がわかるようになっています。その右は1日のスケジュールが書いてある単なるボードです。それからその右はそれをデジタル化したもの。右端はデジタルの端末、普通の端末ですけれども、これにソフトウェアを入れることによって福祉機器障害者にも使いやすくなって、これはまた外から見て障害者であることはわからないので非常に都合がいい。それから左下は薬を飲む、薬を入れてあるケースです。それからその隣は非常に便利なもので、失礼。その隣は先ほど申しました指示器であります。真ん中の鍵がぶら下がっているのは非常に便利でありまして、部屋を出るときロックするとロックした表示が出まして、例えば出かけてバス停に行っちゃって、鍵かけてきたかどうか忘れちゃって戻らなきゃいけないというようなことが必要なくなります。という便利なものであります。
I have not been to IKEA. It's a Swedish chain for furniture supply, and in Sweden often at the entrance there is a room where you can let the children play, and often you have a room with balls in that size. where you can jump along and do some swimming, etc. And when I try to explain this assistive product, I tend to start there, because in this kilt, there's a kilt, quite heavy, and one variant of this includes a lot of balls. So when you have that over you, it weighs something like 7 kilos. And it gives you a tactile sense all over your body. And it's quite fantastic that people explain how that affects them. They come to they become more relaxed, and they can sleep better. So a lot of one effect has been that the consumption of medication has been reduced. They can sleep better, they get up in the morning, and they can manage daily activities and schools. A variant of this is some metal bands that you have. That means it is not that voluminous, but it has the same effect with the weight. The weight apparently is a very good thing for a person with a sense of anxiety when you try to come to rest and want to sleep. So this is one of the success stories in the government assignment, and also in the prescription of assistive technology to this user group of people with psychiatric disabilities, but also to some other user groups with cognitive disabilities.
この右下にありますのはキルトなんですが、非常にこの製品の開発はうまく効果がいった例でありまして、非常にキルト自身は重くて7キログラムもあるわけですが、中にボールがいくつか入ってまして、これをかけて寝ますと非常に気持ちがよくてよく寝られる。したがって睡眠薬を飲む量の消費が減ってきたという非常に効果があった例であります。他にメタルを使った製品もありますが、要するに重さでもって感触を刺激して安心感を得るというものであります。
So that is a nice illustration what happens when you get the assistive technology you need. Suddenly life is changed, and you can start and finish activities, take initiatives, plan and organize structure, understand concept of time, replace anxiety with arousal, and facilitate sleeping, handle the rhythm of day and night.
この精神障害者のための福祉機器はいくつかありまして、先ほども申し上げましたけれども、作業の始まりと終わりを管理するもの、それから計画を立てたり準備をしたりして作業をすることを助けるもの、それから段取りをつけるもの、それから時間の観念を理解させるもの、それから不安や興奮を緩和するもの、それから睡眠を助け、昼と夜のリズムを理解させることに役立つ福祉機器がたくさんにあります。
I have in the end here in 2 slides here results from the study we made based on the assignment the government gave us, because decision makers needs solid basis for deciding on new schemes of assistive technology, and to raise this area for the benefit of people with psychiatric disability, we needed some sort of solid results. What are the effects? And we hired an economist basing a study on some assistive technology, handy, that is a handheld PDA, personal digital assistant, and the tactile stimulation kilt we saw in the 2 slides away, and the memory aid. That cost in Swedish crowns 18,800. And then they also calculated the cost to prescribe all the things surrounding these assistive technology, summing up, and compared this to the benefits. Reduced need for support by municipality and county councils, 1 hour per week, and also reduced need for support by relatives. And these were the results then. That in 1.5 years, the investment is paid back.
福祉機器を開発するときには費用と効果が確かに効果がないといけないわけですから、それの検証をやった例がここにありまして、コストとしましてはハンディ、先ほどの端末または先ほどのキルトとメモリを組み合わせたもの、いずれも18,800クローネの値段であります。それからまた他にかかる費用としましてはどういう機器が必要かを診断したり計画を立てたり使い慣れるまでの教育とか、そういう時間を評価しますと11,300で、合計がそこにあります31,100クローネになります。で一方、利益としましては市や県からのサポート相談費用としてサポート費用として1週間1時間そこにあります15,600クローネがかからなくて済む。それからまた家族などの手をかけるがかかる、それもこのぐらいの値段19,600クローネというふうに見積もりました。
Everything can't be calculated, so there are also, of course, other effects of assistive technology for this user group, and not least that to be able to live in the ordinary home and reduce the burden on the national health system. But there's way ahead still. We just started in this area, even though we have quite interesting results, that an increase of prescription of assistive technology to this group on 80% in the focus county councils, we believe is a quite interesting result due to the increased awareness, increased knowledge among decision makers and professionals of the benefit of these kind of measures.
失礼しました。今コストと利益のパフォーマンスの比較の時にコストが3万かかり利益が19,000いくつかあるわけですけれども、これは下のセーブできるお金というのは1年半でもって上のコストをカバーすることができます。したがって1年半で元が取れるということがわかります。
And of course, the costs and benefits is crucial for the decision makers and those who decide on the schemes for providing assistive technology. But we also believe that we have tried to just illustrate other effects that are not that tangible or measured in crowns or euros or yen. And these are some examples of that.
開発するときにはこの費用対効果が非常に重要なことでありまして、物の値段ばかりじゃなくて先ほどのその物以外のサービスのコストも評価に入れなければなりません。この福祉機器 の効果としましては、社会全体としての出費を減らす、助けることができるわけでありまして、でまた本人障害者は在宅で暮らすことができる、また社会復帰のためのトレーニングを受けたりすることもできるようになる、そういうメリットがあるわけです。
Thank you. That was all. This is the symbol for cognition developed in a national standard activity in Sweden. And we also had that as an input to the ISO symbol committee. Thank you.
結論としましては、精神障害者にとっては、十分な福祉機器が入手できていないということであります。でまた精神福祉機器というのは、認知障害高齢者ばかりじゃなくて、精神障害者に対しても非常に効果があるということが結論であります。
Mr. Claes, thank you so much.